Welcome to the Elevation Summit. I'm your host, Jake Kelfer, and today we have Mr. David Greenfeld, CEO of Dream Pops. Now, I am stoked for this because Dream Pops has an incredible story. David has an incredible story, and welcome to the Elevation Summit, my man.
Jake, thank you so much for having us and letting us share our story on the platform. We really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Of course. So let's jump right into it. You got a great story of how Dream Pops came to be. Dive into it. Tell us your journey and where the company is now.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to dive in. Dream Pops really started as a pretty out there idea. In another life, I used to be an investment banker for about 4.5 years for a company called Houlihan Lokey. And really was out of college, was really focused on, frankly, going to an organization that could help me build a skill set with financial modeling, with mergers and acquisitions. Spent a lot of time in technology and media, and then following that in consumer retail businesses. And got some great exposure to C-suite execs and incredible onboarding into the professional world, and would recommend anybody to start in investment banking before trying to go down an entrepreneurial pursuit. Before that, I had tried a couple other entrepreneurial endeavors, one of which I used to actually be a hip hop artist and rapper, which I still do, for fun on the side. And then also had a foray into the wine business with a box wine company called Just Wine when I was in college. I think the biggest key learning I had with those was I didn't have a lot of the necessary tools and skill sets to compete at that level professionally. And both of those, mainly the wine business ended up not panning out. But yeah, so basically was an investment banker. I did 2.5 years in LA, and then I actually lived in Milan, Italy. I spent 2 years in Milan. And while I was out there, in general, over that period, but I love CPG and food and beverage products. I've always had an affinity towards the space. And so while I was out there, some of my favorite entrepreneurs that I've read about and studied are the Howard Schultzes of the world, who went to Milan and Verona and discovered the romance of the barista stand and brought that back to the States, and other founders like Blake Mycoskie, who discovered the Tom shoe in South America. And I've seen that pattern oftentimes where some of the most successful founders with incredible narratives and stories will find something abroad and then bring it back to the States. And so while I was living in Italy, just was on the hunt trying to find something that spoke to me and to see if there was anything that might make sense. And was lucky enough to come across a product. I was in Milan, which is the birthplace of gelato. So you had so much ice cream. I went to every gelato stand and gelateria, but also was lucky to come across some serious ice cream innovation, and even our partners who were working on this product itself. And we ended up partnering and bringing this to the States. And it's been about 3.5 years now, coming up on 4 years. And we're in almost 1,000 grocery stores, and really trying to build this next generation confection platform with Dream Pops.
Dude, what a journey. What a journey. So what exactly is a Dream Pop in terms of the flavors, in terms of how healthy it is? Like, what exactly is it? Because it's awesome.
Here, I'll do one better. Check this out. I'm right here in the freezer, so I'll pull one out and show you.
Oh, there we go. Come on.
Yeah, of course, man. So this one's a little bit melted, but you can see this is a Dream Pop. A Dream Pop is a coconut milk-based ice cream bar, so they're always 100% plant-based. They're vegan. It's powered by superfoods and adaptogens. It only comes with about 2 grams of coconut sugar, no sugar alcohols, no erythritol, and we typically make it functional by incorporating superfoods or adaptogens like baobab, which is an African superfruit high in antioxidants, or lion's mane, which is an adaptogen. And so the idea is, when you look at the comp set of ice cream and novelties, you've got sugar-heavy, dairy-heavy products. Sometimes have high fructose corn syrup, have tons of cane sugar. And when we looked at the set itself in the frozen aisle, there weren't a lot of better-for-you options that were clean, that really were good for your family, and that we thought had an ingredient stack that really was what the modern day consumer was looking for. So we're a vegan product, and really functional with the superfoods and adaptogens that are in the product.
Dude, that's absolutely incredible. I mean, I know for me, I have like really bad stomach issues. And when I was like 13, I stopped eating dairy. And then recently I've done like what's called the low FODMAP diet, and it's been a struggle, but your product is something that like works great, right? Like it fits with my stomach restrictions. And so like, it's the coolest thing when I can have delicious products that work within how I have to eat. So it's awesome to hear how you're creating something that benefits so many people that have issues, but also just people that are trying to be more healthy in general, but still have that same great taste and great experience as they would with something else.
Thank you, Jake. I think the category is called really that we're trying to be a part of is permissible indulgence. So we don't want people to feel like they're sacrificing for that sweet and indulgent escape. And at the same time, the taste is going to be there. Sometimes you'll have a CPG product that, really taste is secondary. And yes, it's so clean and it's incredibly healthy and the ingredients are fantastic. But at the end of the day, your product needs to taste good, especially if you're in a category like desserts or confectionery products. So there's never going to be a sacrifice on taste, and your ingredients are also going to back up that taste quality. So,
what's your favorite flavor?
Chocolate Lion for sure, and then Berry Dreams. Those are my two favorites.
There it is. So I want to talk about your journey as a entrepreneur. What do you think is the best skill set that you possessed that it's allowed you to really grow Dream Pops?
Great question. I think that there are a few aspects that any founder really needs to tap into. One is just the ability to deal with uncertainty and to power through it. When you're building a company, especially in the inception phase, there are so many variables, so many things going wrong. And so the ability to juggle multiple fires at once, take a deep breath and go step by step and realize that, okay, as long as you're directionally heading in the right direction and you really understand your broader vision, those fires can be put out. Number two is persistence. We're on year 4 and we're just finally starting to get our footing and our product market fit. I'll be frank, when we first launched, myself and my co-founder David Cohen, when we first launched Dream Pops, most of my colleagues in the investment banking space and finance really did not understand why I was trying to push a weird geometric popsicle. Vegan and plant-based wasn't at the level of acceptance as it was then. And so I think, we got lucky with timing. We really started to see our brand stride and evolve, while Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat were really starting to excel in the market, even with that Beyond IPO. And so I think, having that persistence to kind of deal with the noise, ignore the noise, and focus on what's really important to you and show up every day, improve every day, and iterate was crucial. And then, number 3 is you need to know what your why is. So rather than, if you want to just make money and optimize your financial return, going into the food business is probably one of the worst decisions you can make. I mean, it's not an incredibly lucrative opportunity at the outset. What happens is you have outliers in CPG that end up very successful. But frankly, the majority of those people that end up succeeding and exiting and financially achieving financial independence are not driven by money. They're driven by a desire to do something beyond financial gain. For us, our why is 1, to inspire other people to go after their dreams. Dream Pops, it's in the name. 2 is to put healthier products in the hands of more people. And 3 is to create this Willy Wonka of vegan and plant-based desserts to always inspire and delight our customer. And so those 3 tenets are what have driven us day to day. And if we were just purely looking at profit and losses, P&Ls, our projections and net income every day, there's no way that I would still be standing in front of you building this.
Dude, that's great. Now, how do you define success as an individual?
Yeah, it's a great question. I used to define success when I was on Wall Street as, looking purely at my financial success. And, what I think now success is, and it's so trite and overstated, but the ability to love the process, to wake up every day and love what you do. I think the biggest transition mentally for me was I rarely know what day it is. Obviously I go by my Google Calendar, but I used to live within the confines of a 5-day work week, and weekends sorry, I don't know if I can cuss. Weekends I would, effectively, if I had to work, I would be worried or concerned about my weekends getting, destroyed by whatever workflow I was required to jump into. But now, I kid you not, I wake up every day. I genuinely love the challenge of, new obstacles, new strategies being deployed, new phases of the business. I love CPG and food and beverage. I love going to grocery stores, product development, and just being able to wake up every day and do something that I know is genuinely, something that represents and embodies what I'm passionate about, what I love. And I think that is success. When you can do something that drives you, that you wake up every day excited to do, that ends up paying dividends from a financial perspective.
And do you have any routines in your day, either morning, night, workout routines, or anything like that?
Yes. So the biggest routine that I incorporated that's been a game changer for me, every Sunday I work with a life coach. His name is Kai. Shout out to Kai. We do about an hour FaceTime session where we cover everything from guided meditation to personal wellness to professional wellness. And he's actually helped me craft a morning practice, which consists of everything from breathing exercises to visualization exercises, and just gratitude for my family, for my health, and for everything that has manifested. So it's really I've done that for 475 days straight. Out of the last 475 days, I have not missed a day. And when you do that, you have that anchor habit. I've noticed it translate into a number of other aspects of my life.
Yeah, I think you said a key point, right? Is continuously doing it over and over again, and it just becomes just part of who we are, which then helps us become more productive or effective in other aspects of our life. So I think that's really great, because I'm big on morning routines and really focusing in on how do I perform at the highest level possible. And sometimes it's by building these right habits that just lead from one to the next, and then you have the rest of your day, or you have the rest of the week to really structure it.
Totally. And I will say, like, with how busy I'm sure you are, like, sometimes doing it in the morning isn't possible, but I do have my mandatory, I will not go to bed until it's done. And that whether that's 3 a.m., 5 a.m., whenever it is done, it has to be done before I can, get to sleep. So by having that, promise to myself, I just have found it's been really helpful. So.
For sure. Now, I want to point out something here. You got the Dream Pops hat on. We got the Dream Pops in the background here. How important is branding, and what have you learned when trying to brand and market your product?
Brand is everything. I think it's so overlooked. People just think you can outsource it to an agency or a freelancer. But brand is beyond aesthetic. Yes, aesthetic is crucial. It being consistent with your aesthetic across all platforms and content you create is crucial. But what ties brand in, what allows people to communicate brands that resonate, that last for legacies, the Nikes, the Starbuckses of the world, are that why that I talked about being tied in and underlying to a broader theme, and that why tying to the theme, tying to the aesthetic. When we have those three things firing, you have super fans and cult followings that build into them. And so what I mean by that is, yes, our aesthetic, you have the geometric pop, the futuristic look of the product. You've got the pattern. We're all about shapes and an interesting geometry. But if you look at our slogan is anything is popsicle. That ties into the fact that you're going after your dreams, and you're not going to allow other people to limit what your vision is or what you believe you can create. And really, that all comes together and culminates into what you're communicating to any viewer audience that comes across your product.
I think that's awesome, man. Anything is popsicle, going after your dreams, and then like you're doing it, right? Like you go on the website and it's just branded to that particular, like it's so specific in what you're trying to do, which is something that like you said, a lot of people overlook. Whether you have a product business or you're an infopreneur, right? Selling information products, you have to have that consistency in your branding so people know what to expect. They know what you stand for. They know why you're doing everything that you're doing, and they're inspired because of you to live something greater than just the product. And I think that's something that you guys have done an incredible job. Something that I've noticed a lot just from looking at your stuff, the way you portray yourself. And then also looking at the brand and seeing those synergies as someone who's so passionate about the Dream Pops company.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot, Jake. And I think, when you dive in, you just have to really understand that every single piece of content you create, it all needs to tie in and align. And when you have brands that aren't authentic, they don't have sustainability. They don't have longevity because people can see through the BS. And so that's you're spot on.
Now, you come from a finance background, so I feel like I have to ask something related to that. Is how do you think your mindset differs from somebody that doesn't have a financial background? Because one of the things that I've learned, especially with small businesses, is you have to know your numbers. Not enough people know their numbers in business. So coming from a financial background, what advantages have you had, or what are some of the key things that people need to be aware of when it comes to the numbers of their business?
No question. Just square one is understanding your unit economics. How are you going to achieve profitability? I get nervous when I, talk to other founders that don't, and many of them, surprisingly, do not understand unit economics. And what that means is when you're selling a product, what does it cost you from a cost of goods perspective? What does it cost you to manufacture it and to get it out the door, including the freight, including deliver? And so, luckily with 4.5 years of exposure in finance, I was required to sit with the CFO of those companies that we were trying to sell or selling and understand the intricacies of their P&L, understanding what their balance sheet looked like, understanding what their real margins were, and if they had, misappropriated or misunderstood what the real margins were. So the ability to look at our business and build a Excel spreadsheet that communicates what's really happening and understanding that is an advantage. On top of that, the ability to raise capital and putting a deck together and a financial model that truly, that you've been speak to, that isn't just outsourced, I think has allowed us to, be able to bring a strong group of people together that, can trust the fact that our founding team truly understands what the business is that we're creating.
Fantastic. And one of my final questions for you here is, say someone's watching this right now, listening to this, they finish this, they hit the end button. What do you recommend they do today? What's one action that somebody can do to get started?
Biggest challenge is to start, to actually start to do. I know people you oftentimes get this paralysis, right? Because you don't know where to start or where to create. Writing a to-do list of 5 to 10 things that you're going to accomplish and getting them done every single time, saying, okay, I'm going to get these 5 things done today, no matter what. That is a great place to start. Number 2, eliminating opinions of others and critiques, because even when we started, the business model that we went to market with didn't make sense. There were a lot of mistakes we made. We've been through 5 different iterations of packaging. You have to put yourself out there, and you cannot be half pregnant. There are so many people that want to do this on the side or do it as a side hustle. I just don't believe in that. I don't actually think, I used to think I could do banking and create Dream Pops as a side hustle. It's not feasible to build something that competes at the levels of the Ben and Jerry's and the Nestle's and, that competes at the highest level and only give 20% of your time. So I don't believe in that side hustle mentality.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point. I mean, just as you were saying that, it's like Michael Jordan, as an example, right? He couldn't do basketball and play professional baseball at the same time. Like he's the best basketball player in the world, and he struggled with that transition. Even though maybe skill-wise he could have been great, but he couldn't do it. Tim Tebow, another example, right? Now those are just sports things, but I think you said something really great because it reminded me of when I was writing my first book. And my dad told me, he's like, I have no idea if you're going to sell 5 copies or 5 million copies of your book. But what I do know is that if the minute you put it out there, good things are going to happen. I don't know what those are, but they will happen because you've put yourself out there and you've taken that first action. And that put me on this path that got us here today. So I think it's really all about getting going, getting started, and then making the adjustments because none of us are perfect. There's no overnight success tonight. There's no perfect company that you have the idea today and then tomorrow you launch and you made it. It's a continuous iteration, as you said, of continuously trying to evolve and learn and readjust and continue to be better. So I appreciate you sharing that advice for sure.
On top, one other thing is just you need to put yourself out there hundreds of thousands of times. People think that you just raise money after meeting with your first few investors. It takes hundreds of meetings. It takes listening to that feedback, incorporating and getting better. you know, if I would show you the first packaging we ever had with Dream Pops and how I explained it, it's nowhere near to where we are today. And I'm sure that that's happened with you with, you know, versions of your book and other products and services that you've released over time.
For sure. So, I mean, I've loved every second about this, and I'm excited to get my hands on some Dream Pops. How can people get their hands on Dream Pops? And then also, how can we connect and support you as an individual?
Appreciate that. Yeah, just go to dreampops.com. We just launched our new website. We've got some new flavors and new products that are going to be launching. On top of that, check us out on TikTok at Dream Pops. Check us out on Instagram at Dream Pops, and on LinkedIn. We're usually putting out a lot of content around CPG and food and beverage founders and within our space. So those are probably the three best places. And then also shoot me a text, 310-388-5115. We'll be responding to those texts as well.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing that. And then are we going to do a little special Dream Pops code for anyone that's listening here?
Yes. Obviously the greatest code of all time, Elevate Dreams. We're going to give 25% off to any orders on the site. But huge thank you to Jake's audience and for bringing us on. It really means the world. Very impressed by your tenacity and hunger as an entrepreneur, and it's contagious. So thank you.
Well, there you have it, man. I'm stoked that we were able to sit down and chat. This was awesome. For those of you that are listening, go ahead, start now. Go get your Dream Pops. Elevate your dreams, because anything is popsicle.
Let's go.
Popsicle, popsicle, whatever. We got it, baby. Make it happen. I appreciate you, and thanks for coming on the Elevation Summit.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate you having us.